Pembroke Lumber Kings and Kempville 73s are scoreless after 20 minutes. You're watching Lumber King hockey on your TV. It's the 70th anniversary of the Pembroke Memorial Center, and here's one of the guys who brought a lot of great memories to me when I was a youngster watching the Kings in the 1970s. That means you're a little bit older than me, Rob Wilson, because I remember watching you play, but great to see you. Thanks for making the trip up.
Hey, Jamie, thanks for the invite. It's always great to come back to Pembroke and see a lot of old familiar faces for sure.
So you played here under Brian Murray, but you came in 76-77, the year the Kings went to the Centennial Cup final, but you joined the team late. What happened?
Well, I was playing Junior B down in Brantford, Ontario, and one of the guys I played minor hockey with was playing in Sudbury and got sent down here to Pembroke, and I got a call one time saying, just before Christmas, saying they were looking for a centerman, and I came up and had a couple of skates, and then Brian said he wanted to sign me, which was the best news I'd heard as a young kid ever. A little timid about coming up to Pembroke, but once I got here for about 2 weeks, I got settled in. My teammates were great, and billets were fantastic, and the city itself was wonderful.
And in those years, you were playing in front of big crowds here, and you were playing for Brian Murray, who we'll get into the rest of the story with Brian shortly. But what was he like as a coach back then, just getting his start in coaching?
You know, Brian was very demanding. He expected you to follow the course of line, and you know, he had specific plays that he wanted you to kind of work on during practices and stuff. But you know, outside of hockey, Brian was a great life lesson coach. You know, he taught me a lot of things. You know, he gave me a break to come up and play junior hockey at this level, and I was always forever grateful, and we remained great friends. But he taught you a lot of life skills. You know, never taking a day off. You know, and it would come through practice. You don't take a shift off, and it was wonderful to play for him.
Now in that 76-77 season, of course, those days, the Centennial Cup playdowns, you had to win 7-game series, and you had to win the Central, the East, and then get to the West. And that's what happens with you guys. You ended up going out to Saskatchewan. You got a really bad break early in the series. Yeah,
I did. It was funny, you know, they started off by saying there was going to be a trip for two anywhere Canada flew, and you know, my eyes kind of lit up and said, geez, I'd like to win that. I had like 3 breakaways in the first period, never scored on any of them, and then I came out in the second period and got into the corner, and some guy rocked me, and I separated my shoulder, so that was the end of that experience there at the Centennial Cup.
Now you came back the next year, and the Lumber Kings again had a good run, but you ended up losing to Guelph in the Eastern Canadian Championships. That was the end of the road for Brian Murray. What do you remember about that? Because it was a big storm of controversy when Brian was let go by the Kings.
Yeah, you know, it was kind of unfortunate the way it played out. You know, there was a lot of turmoil with the way ownership kind of treated things, and you know, Brian stood up for his players as always, and you know, consequently that cost him his job, and you know, probably for a good thing, because he ended up going out to Regina, and you know, the rest is history with Brian. He moved up the ladder pretty quick.
Now, what's interesting, his replacement was Bep Gwidlin, who 4 years earlier almost won a Stanley Cup with the Boston Bruins, and he's coaching here in Pembroke, and you were playing for him.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I only met Bep a few times, and because it was short-lived here in Pembroke, because he ended up taking a job back in Philadelphia in the American Hockey League. But he was a great guy and a funny storyteller, and him and I kind of hit it off, and I was really sorry that he didn't stick it out, because I think it would have been a great year having him behind the bench.
Let me just talk about this great old rink. You were here tonight. You got a chance to meet with some alumni from the 7 decades, which was really cool. That was a lot of fun. What do you remember the most about this rink?
You know what? The people of Pembroke, you know, and they still are, you know, they're great fans. They're knowledgeable people with the game. And, you know, I mean, I remember back in the 70s here, you know, they'd be 2 or 3 deep on the standing room area section. And, you know, you go anywhere in town, they knew who you were because they were involved with the team, and they really cared about the players, and the support was phenomenal. And, you know, I mean, I always say if you can get a full rink, you know, that could win you a couple of games. You know what I mean? If the players get excited, they get pumped up, and, you know what I mean, the adrenaline's going, and they tend to play a little better.
And, you know, it'll come back. You know, this is, many people say it's like playing for the Montreal Canadiens. You got to win here. And, of course, they're coming through this pandemic and behaviors have changed. But they will come back. And this team this year is doing very, very well. What advice would you give for the guys that are playing now?
You know what? I think, you know, they work hard. I think, you know, it's important for them to get involved in the community, because community matters, you know. And I mean, as simple things as going maybe to a school, you know, and reading, have a reading class with a kindergarten class, just so people in the community get to know who you are. And by doing that, I think they'll start getting more people into the arena.
Rob, it is great to see you. I know you really like Lionel Barber, who we lost last year. in November of 2020. He was the last player from that senior Lumber King team that opened the Memorial Center in 1951. So it's been great talking to you. Thanks for coming up and doing this.
Jamie, thanks very much for all you do for the team and for the community. You know, it's well noted, and I follow you all the time, and you do great work.
Thanks very much, Rob. I brought in the Lionel Barber piece because Lionel was a good friend to both Rob and I. We both miss him a lot. He was a great storyteller. And a few years ago, I had a chance to talk to him in this building about what it was like on opening night at the Pembroke Memorial Center. We're going to show you that clip in just a little bit. You're watching Lumber King Hockey on your TV, 0-0, Kemptville and Pembroke after 20 minutes. We'll be back.